What is going on, guys, and welcome today to a brand new video on the channel. So in today's video I'm going to be doing my 2023 F1 season predictions, and I know it's like not the end of pre-season testing yet, but pre-season testings are relevant. Like, hypothetically, Red Bull could be the worst car on the grid. They're not going to be, but like, pre-season testing means nothing, and Alfa Romeo was on top today, so I promise you, means nothing. They'll probably be like near the bottom. Anyway, let's start off with the drivers. 20th, Logan Sargent. Now, it's not because he's a bad driver, it's just I think Williams is going to be awful. I mean, with everything that happened over winter, like, they didn't even have like a team principal or CEO because Josh Capito left, and like he only signed maybe a month ago, so I don't see them doing well. They weren't great last year. I think it's going to be worse this year, and it's kind of unfortunate for Sargent as it's his first year. P19, Albon, again, because Williams can be bad. Not that I think Albon's a good driver, and if Williams get points, I think it'll be Albon who's there to collect the points, but I just don't feel like it'll come around very often, them being able to get points. P18, I'm saying Yuki Tsunoda. Now, I don't think he's done very well in F1. He has like the odd race, but he's so inconsistent. I don't think that AlphaTauri is going to be great. I think it's going to be a rough season, and honestly, I think he'll lose his seat at the end. Like, if a Red Bull Junior especially does decent in F2, there's no way he's staying. Like, I just don't see how. He really hasn't hit the heights expected of him in F1. He probably wasn't given enough time in F2 really to adapt and like get ready, so yeah, P18 for Yuki, not going to be good. P17, going Nick De Vries. His first season in F1, but like, he's an F2 world champion and a Formula E world champion, so he's got good experience. The only reason I'm putting him low is because I don't think AlphaTauri is going to be good. I think they're going to be poor. However, I do think he's going to be better than Yuki this season. I think like he's just got the experience to back it up, and even though Yuki's got more experience in F1, he hasn't been good, and De Vries is showing in Monza. That was very good for his first race in F1. And while I don't think it'll be like that all year, I feel like he could have a relatively decent season with like the odd pretty good result, and generally I just feel like he'll be the more quality driver in AlphaTauri. P16, I'm saying Zhao Guanyu. Now, I could be one of the only ones here, but like, although his debut season was okay, it wasn't anything special. And Alfa Romeo, I mean, granted they got a lot worse, so he was never going to be able to get the points Bottas had. But I don't think his debut season was amazing, and I don't see him improving too much with an Alfa Romeo that I feel like is going to be worse. So I feel like he's going to be really like average or maybe below average on people's expectations, because people think he's going to be really competing with Valtteri this year, which I don't necessarily see happening. I mean, I can be proven wrong, but I just feel like Bottas, although he had that part of last year where he was awful, I think he will improve this year. I think he'll go back to more of that form from the start of last year. P15, I'm saying Nico Hülkenberg. His return to F1, like, he's not a bad driver, never got a podium, but we can scrap all that. I feel like he'll be consistent for Haas. I feel like the Haas won't be great. Again, like, even though they say they can spend up to the budget, I think they'll be like bottom-ish of the midfield. But I feel like he can pick up like decent, consistent results, whereas his teammate, who I think is going to come P14, Magnussen, I feel like will get the better results, but it'll be a lot less consistent because he loves the first lap crash, and yeah, he's a bit with Magnussen. He's a bit like hit or miss. Like, he'll get a good result, or he'll like bin it in the back of someone just for no reason. So I'm saying those two, P15 and P14, nothing special, but yeah, I just think Cass will be out this year, nothing special. P13, Valtteri Bottas, again, I feel like he'll be better than Zhao. Nothing amazing from Bottas, but I feel like if there's like a P6 or something you could pick up, like that's available for a team nearer the back of the grid, like he is the driver to get that. He is, out of all the drivers at the back of the grid, he is the one with the most talent. And Alfa Romeo probably have like the 7th best car, so I feel like he'll be able to pick up points if it's available, but I don't feel like that'll come out too often. That's why I'm putting in P13, because when they're there, I think he'll get them. P12, I'm going Oscar Piastri. I could be underrating McLaren here, and Piastri, but hear me out. It's his debut season in F1 after a year out of racing. Like, obviously he hasn't lost his skill, but he might be a little bit rusty. The McLaren, if Ricciardo struggled to adapt, although it's Piastri's first car, he still needs to learn how to drive it, and it's a very difficult car to drive notoriously. So I feel like, although he won't necessarily struggle as this is his rookie season, and I think McLaren might not improve as much as the rest of the midfield, I don't think he's going to be great, because I feel like the expectations for Piastri are mental, because he's so good, like, in F3 and F2 back-to-back champion, like, he is a good driver, there's definitely talent there. But I just feel like it's his debut season in a tough car to drive, which hasn't really improved much, so I feel like it's not going to be this amazing season where he's really keeping Lando on his toes. P11, Stroll. Again, I could be overestimating for Stroll here because he's very hit or miss. Like, I reckon this season he could easily score a podium, but then he'll go about 7 races without scoring points. He's very odd like that. But I feel like the Aston Martin's going to be decent this season. I feel like it's going to be pretty quick from the start in the midfield. Even though Lance probably won't be there in Bahrain, like, they're being very quiet. The talk is that he won't be able to make it to Bahrain, so he's going to miss out on points there. But generally, I feel like he'll just have a Lance season. He's going to get like good high scoring points finishes, and then you just won't see him for 6 races in a row. That's why it'll be P11, because when he has points, I feel like it'll be decent, but it will be definitely more points finishes than points finishes, though I can safely say that with Lance, unless Aston Martin suddenly decide they're the best car on the grid, but I don't think that's going to happen. P10, now this one's very risky. I'm going Lando. Now that's not saying Lando's a bad driver at all. I just really don't think the McLaren's going to improve as much as the rest of the midfield. And although Lando will have good results in him and the consistency, I think he's going to struggle in a car that's not advancing as much as the Alpine and Aston Martin. That is why I'm saying him P10. I think it'll be a good year for him, and he's going to beat Piastri, but like nothing amazing due to the car really not really clicking and McLaren's development not going great. P9, I'm going Ocon. Now, from what I see, I seem to be one of the only ones who thinks Ocon's going to do worse than Gasly, which Ocon did have a good year last year, and he was decent the year before. Obviously, he beat Alonso last year, but that was pure luck. Alonso's luck last year was so bad, so obviously I'm not saying Ocon's a bad driver. I just think Gasly, now he's left AlphaTauri, I feel like he's going to be tougher than people think. So Ocon P9, a good year, but not as good as last year, because I don't think he's going to get quite, like, he's not going to benefit from as much bad luck, I don't think. P8, I'm going Gasly. Yes, I do think Gasly is a slightly better driver than Ocon, and it is his first season to adapt, but I think if he can adapt, and if he gets in the right mindset, he's going to be quick. As seen in 2021 for AlphaTauri, 2020, he was so good in those years. Last year he didn't really want to be there, so he was a bit slower, and like obviously the fact he wasn't going to back to Red Bull, like he didn't really have the motivation. But I think now he's got the motivation. He's at a top midfield team. He needs to prove himself. He needs to beat Ocon, and I think he's going to deliver. He might start off a bit slower, but I feel like by the end of the season he will beat Ocon. P7, top of the midfield, I'm saying Fernando Alonso. I think Aston Martin are going to come with a competitive car for the midfield this year. They were getting there at the end of last year with Vettel getting some good results. I feel like they're only going to get better over the winter. Now they got Alonso as well, who can push a car so far out of where it should be. I feel like Alonso, I reckon he's going to get a podium this year for Aston Martin. I feel like he is going to be top of the midfield and he's going to carry Aston Martin this year, 100%. So P7, best of the rest, Alonso. Going to be a great season for him. Now, the next 4 drivers I very struggled on, and P6 is probably going to be my worst take in the video. I'll admit that. But, so at P6, I'm going Perez. Now, hear me out on this. I feel like it's going to go one or two ways for Perez. He's either going to be ridiculous and he's going to be fighting for the title after last year. He's going to stop being Red Bull's lapdog. Or he's going to still try and not be Red Bull's lapdog as much, but it's going to backfire so badly. And with the cars around him, I reckon they're going to be more competitive this year. Like the Ferrari is good last year with horrible strategies, but I feel like Mercedes is going to be better, so it could be tough. And Red Bull are still going to give him worse strategies. They're never, ever going to prioritise him over Max. And that will annoy him as well. And it's just going to... I feel like that's where the tension is going to be this year. I feel like that's going to blow up. So I'm going P6, but I could be very wrong on this one, and I know that. But if it blows up, definitely P6, I think. P5, Russell. Again, I feel a bit harsh putting Russell P5. But I'm still sceptical on how well Mercedes will do. And although Russell was really good, I feel like he's going to carry on improving. Towards the end of last year, like Hamilton picked up and was like so good. And Mercedes are always going to prioritise Hamilton. Even if they're not fighting for the championship, I still feel like they're going to prioritise Hamilton. And if he is fighting for the championship, even if it's both of them, they're always going to back Hamilton for his 8th. But I feel like Russell's going to carry on with his consistent results last year, build on that, and just pick up points when the other drivers in the top 6 fail. P5, consistent. That's what I'm thinking for Russell. P4, Carlos Sainz. I feel like he's going to be a lot better than last year. I feel like this is going to be his year to shine. Not necessarily beating his teammate or like really truly standing out, but I feel like this is going to be his year where he shows that he deserves to be truly at a top team. Like, he's done that. But also last year he showed he still had the mistakes in him. But I feel like this is going to be his year to prove why everyone was thinking how good a lineup Ferrari is. And I feel like the consistent results, I reckon he'll get another win, definitely. I feel like it should be a decent year as long as Ferrari aren't Ferrari, which could happen. P3, I'm going Hamilton. Now, Hamilton was a tough one because I was in the mindset either he's going to fight with Max and Charles really close for the championship, or if Mercedes aren't there, then it's going to be like probably 6th because I feel like he wants to be out there for the championship. But I'm going to say P3. I feel like if Mercedes deliver the car, he'll be in the fight. And if Mercedes have a car that can compete, I think he could be 2nd or even win it. Like, if they have the car, he's going to want it 100%. He's going to be the most motivated man on that track. But I'm not sure if Mercedes will quite deliver it. But carrying on from the momentum at the end of last year, I'm going to say P3 and a good season for Hamilton. And he'll get a win this year. He's going to get another win. Like, last year was his first season without a win, but he's going to get one this year. P2, Leclerc. I'd love to say P1 for Leclerc for him to win his first championship. And especially after last year where Ferrari just shafted him every race. But although they haven't got Binotto, I still feel like Ferrari will just be Ferrari and will still make mistakes. I think the car will be good. I think Charles will be good. And I think he'll be closer to Max this year. It won't be finishing up in like October. But I still feel like Ferrari are going to make the odd mistake and it's going to really cost him, whereas Red Bull just don't seem to have as many mistakes in them. P1, I'm going Verstappen. Verstappen's just so quick. And if Red Bull deliver like last year, their strategies are usually good. Their car was unreal. Max is unreal. I think he's going to win his 3rd in a row. I think it won't be quite as boring as last year, so I think there'll be more of a title fight. But yeah, Max P1. I'm not going against him this year. I thought last year Charles was going to win it, but I was wrong. So I'm backing Max. Even with the reduction in wind tunnel time, I think it's going to be Max. He's too good. The car's too good. So yeah, Max is going to win his third World Championship. Now I'm going to quickly do my constructors. Like, you can already probably tell from the drivers, but P10 Williams, P9 AlphaTauri, P8 Haas, P7 Alfa Romeo, P6 McLaren, P5 Aston Martin, they can thank Stroll for that, P4 Alpine, P3 Mercedes, P2 Ferrari, P1 Red Bull. Some of them might be a bit off on the driver's standing, but I feel like that's how it's going to end. If I don't get them right on one side, I'll get them right on the other, so it's a win-win at the end of the day. Anyway guys, if you did enjoy, like, subscribe, comment down below who you think is going to win the championship, and yeah, I'll see you in another video. Bye.